Well, welcome to another wonderful world of bourbon. This is episode 4, and we've got a jam-packed show, but it's not full of jam, it's full of bourbon. That's right. So let's get right to it. What are we doing tonight on the wonderful world? We got a review of the OH Ingram River Age, the 2023 flagship, and you're going to want to hear about that. The 2024 flagship was number 9 on Fred Minnick's Top 100 for last year. And we got something new. This is going to be a lot of fun. We take Daniel and we put him in the hot seat in a new show we're calling Name That Bourbon. It's a lot of fun and you get to play along. And then we take you on another Bourbon Recon where we're showing you new and interesting bourbons coming up in the stores. And then we couldn't do it last show, but we're doing it this show where we read your comments. You guys have made a lot of comments and we respond to that. And probably the most interesting segment, the one I look forward to the most, Bourbon of the Week. We tell you what our Bourbon of the Week is. In fact, we have 2. And then we roll that right into Mike's Soapbox, and I pretty much tell you why I even bothered doing these videos. So welcome to the wonderful world of bourbon. Well, on tonight's Give Me 5, OH Ingram River Aged. This is their flagship. Now, this is the flagship 2023, not the 2024. You get what you can find. You take what you can find, right? So, OH Ingram River Aged, kind of like the Ocean Aged, the brand I'm talking about. River Aged. So I'm thinking gimmick, right? Who cares if it was on a paddle boat or a barge? I think this was actually done on a barge. Who cares, right? It's a gimmick. I would tell you I was wrong. How do I know I was wrong? 2 things. First, I had a friend, Dave Vogelsang, send me a sample a while back. I thought it was wonderful. This same version, 2023 flagship. Now, there's some other OH Ingrams out there that's not the flagship. So when you go and look, make sure you got that little sticker on the top that says flagship, and it'll tell you the year. So that was one. I got to taste it, and I knew it was good. In fact, I'm not sure if it beat the others in a blind or was just at the top, but I remember loving it. So I put it on a list, kind of a back of my brain list of something that I'd want if I ever saw it. I don't see it, the flagship, I don't see it in Georgia, so it went way back in the cobwebs. And then Fred Minnick comes out with his top 100 of 2024, and there it is again, OH Ingram flagship, number 9 on the list, I believe. I'll double check that. Let's see. Yeah. The difference being the 2024 flagship. This is the 2023. But it brought that back up to the front of my brain, which ain't easy. And so I'm now hunting this OH Ingram and the flagship. And I'm up in, I was recently up in East Ridge, Tennessee, one of my favorite places to hunt out of state. And up at, I think it was Cork and Bottle, I believe it was. Cork and Barrel, Cork and Bottle, I'll put that on the bottom of the screen, in East Ridge, Tennessee. And lo and behold, they had one. Now it was, I believe it was $99, but which is right around the MSRP that when I checked was close to it. So I thought, it's the 2023, not the 2024, but if it's the same guys making both, wouldn't the 2023 be as good, near as good, maybe better? Who knows? It was enough that, Fred likes the 2024, Dave likes the 2023, I like the 2023, so here we go. So let's not waste any time. And I've already cut everything. And interesting on the top, it tells you OH Ingram Distilling Company, River Aged Whiskey, and it gives you the barge number. So I don't see anything about it being a single barrel. So I assume it's a batch, which I'm fine with. Single barrels are great, but sometimes batches can actually be more consistent when you go back and get the next bottle. Right? Of course I'm right. So availability, I'm going to say limited. OH Ingram is around. I would say that if you know your bottle shop carries OH Ingram, and it's easy to find out, right? They may have the Flagship. The other ones I couldn't attest to. I've heard good things about them, but you know, I had never tried it except for the Flagship. This is this year, the 2023 is the only one I've actually tried. Aroma, I wouldn't say there's really anything much different. I mean, typical bourbon notes, molasses, brown sugar. It does have some nice spices coming off of it. You know, cinnamon, cloves, that kind of thing. Not really picking up any fruit. Maybe a little bit of vanilla, but very traditional bourbon notes. Cheers. And a warning, I'm definitely going over time on this one. Man, I should stop talking and go back to tasting because that stuff is rich, delicious, not too bold, not too spicy, not too sweet. Man, that's got a good balance. But I'm getting more maple and brown sugar than molasses, or I should say more maple, more pancakes and syrup. Definitely some baking spices there. Kind of on the mild side. Not too peppery, not too much rye spice going there. On the back end, on the finish, getting a little bit of oak, a little bit of leather. I really didn't pick up any fruit. This is mostly just traditional, you know, molasses, maple, brown sugar, baking spice kind of flavors. And going into the finish, that carries over into the finish with a little bit of leather, a little bit of oak. Nothing bitter, nothing objectionable. Wow. Value, well, $99. I think it's a good value because it really is a very rich, very delicious, coats the tongue very well. That finish I was talking about seems to last a good long finish. So, $99, I say it's good, not great. I'd love it to be $79. $79 would be great. At $99, it's a good value. So we no longer score, as you've been watching this lately. We basically just tell you whether we think you should buy it or pass on it. Well, I'm going to tell you this is a solid buy. And although I don't know that I'm going to be going back up to Tennessee just to get a backup of it, but when this bottle gets drained down some, the next time I'm in Tennessee, at my friend's place, I believe it is the Cork and Bottle. We're going to see if he's got another one to replace this one, because I'm definitely going to be drinking it. This is definitely an excellent under $100 bourbon whiskey, river-aged or not. So, we hope you liked this video. We'll comment and share, and let me know if you've got any of the OH Ingram. I think this is wonderful, and if I ever see the 2024, well, I may have to pull the trigger on that just because Fred liked it so much. But I'm going to try to not squander this in the meantime. This is good juice. So, as always, please drink responsibly, never drink and drive, and we'll see you next time. Okay, now we've got a special feature on today's wonderful world of bourbon. Name that bourbon. We haven't tried this before, and it's a challenge between me and Daniel. So I get to lay down the first gauntlet, And then the next time, probably when we're over at Appalachian Bourbon Society, he gets to do the same thing to me. So we've got a bourbon that he doesn't know about in this little bottle because I didn't want to give away. And we've got one of your glasses here from the 13th Colony. We hope you like that because that's going to be the trick. And you can use all this you want to, but you've got, when you start, we're going to flip this hourglass over, and you have to guess it or give up before we run out of the sand in the timer. And I'm going to give you 8 clues, feed them to you as you're going along. You want another clue? You want another clue? So I will start off and letting you know, clue number 1 before you even start, that this is distilled and bottled in Louisville, Kentucky. That is your first clue.
Okay.
And here you go. You can drink all you want of it. It's all yours.
You got me a little nervous here, Mike. You're putting me on the spot.
Yeah, that's the idea. And there goes the timer. So like I said, clue number 1, made in Louisville, Kentucky. And I'm not going to give away the clues to you, so you can kind of play along. How many clues do you need before you guess which it is?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I guess I should have studied up a little bit more here.
It is a straight bourbon whiskey. So, made in Kentucky. What do you think of it?
A little peanutty.
But it's not MGP because we said it's distilled.
Yeah, you said distilled
in Louisville. So you know your Louisville distilleries?
No, that's the problem.
Oh, see, there you go. I'd be in trouble if you did.
That is the problem.
I made sure that they do it in Bardstown because that would be that would be too automatic.
All right, give me another clue.
All right. Clue number 2. This is a barrel proof bourbon, but the barrel proof is a low entry barrel proof at 108.5 proof. There isn't a lot of them that come in at 108.5.
Just wild turkey?
Are you guessing now?
Yeah.
Is this one of your guesses?
Yeah.
Sorry. That was probably way too loud. All right. Well,
man, I'm struggling with this one.
Well, tell me what you think of it. I'll tell you about. I'll give him like you're on the right track, or you're really not on the right track.
I mean, it's good. It's definitely a good bourbon. I mean, I get a little bit of peanutty up front. I think a little citrus, some caramel, brown sugar, some baking spice.
What about finish? You think it's got any finish on it?
That's what I'm sitting here debating. Maybe a toasted or a double oak.
See, I neither can confirm nor going to die.
He's not giving
you ready
me
for
too many.
You ready? Well, the clues get better as they go along.
Okay, well, give me another one, Cole.
All right. Clue number 3. You can find it in Georgia, but only recently.
You can find it in Georgia, but
yes, you
only
can buy it in
recently.
Georgia. We can go right down the street and buy it today. You might want to take another sip. You're closer than you think.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think you are.
Can buy it in Georgia recently.
Well, now, tell me this. Would this be something you'd own? Is it good enough that you would own it?
Yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed having a bottle of that. Yeah, it's good. I might already have a bottle of it, hadn't I?
I can neither confirm nor deny. You might have a bottle of this. I will not say for sure whether you do or don't, although I actually know whether you do or don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling with it, honestly.
Let's go on to clue 4.
If I knew my Louisville distilleries, I'd be in good shape here.
Because that sand is running down.
Yeah.
Clue number 4. The original name of the distillery was the Worsham, SHAM Distilling Company. And right now, we got a bunch of people watching this video going like, oh, I know, pick me. The Worsham Distilling Company was the original name. It's not the name now.
Yeah, I got you. Oh, I'm struggling. I'm still lost, if I'm being honest.
All right. Another clue. This distillery did not make it through Prohibition. In fact, this is what I thought was interesting. They closed before Prohibition and then reopened in 2013. That is clue number 5. And you guys in the audience, you're quiet. Don't give it away. There's no call a friend here.
2013.
So this is one of those companies that went out of business
and they just come back
in 2013, and they are doing a jam up business.
And you can buy it now in Georgia.
Yes.
Man, I feel like I should know this, but I am struggling here. 2013, Louisville.
I got a really good clue. Are you stumped still?
Yeah, I mean, I really am. But
we're going through the clues fast.
I feel like I should know this, but I don't.
Number 6. This is a good one.
Okay.
Let's see how good it is. You watched the Fred Minnick's Top 100, didn't you?
Yeah.
And now, no going to your phone. Their batch number 18 was number 37 on Fred Minnick's Top 100 for 2024. Come on, you got a photographic memory, don't you? Batch
18. So that's a clue in and of itself, right there. Batch 18.
Batch 18. Batch 18 got a lot of fanfare.
Oh my goodness.
I don't have batch 18. I have an earlier batch just because I have an earlier bottle, but I think I've got batch 15 or 16, but they're on batch 18 now for 2024. At least they were at Fred's.
Is this Knob Creek?
Nope.
No, that wouldn't make sense. Never mind. That was a silly guess there. I don't know, Mike. You really got me stumped on this. I'm going to have to start doing a little more in the history of distilleries and stuff.
Now we're going to the history of my videos.
Oh, goodness.
Because I had a bourbon hunt.
Put me on the spot.
I had a bourbon hunt that I found this on. Now, if you don't, this is clue number 7. If you have to go all the way to clue number 8, I feel bad for you. Clue number 7. I bought this in Orlando, Florida, for $89.99 on my Florida bourbon hunt. Now, come on now.
That's more than a week ago. So.
Oh man.
I remember watching that video, but yeah, it doesn't.
At Regency Liquors in Winter Garden, Winter Park. I forget which one it is. One of those.
Winter Garden, Winter Park.
Regency Liquors.
Oh man.
And I went on and on about. At the time I couldn't find it in Georgia.
Yeah.
And I found it in Florida.
I remember that part of the video. I just don't remember the bottle.
Oh man. It's no telling what he's going to do back to me when we do this for him. It's going to be worse, I'm afraid.
You have to give me
Okay, this is the last clue. He went all the way to 8. So the competition is I've got to try to beat it. Because when you do it for me, you're going to give me 8 clues. And it's got to be good clues. Like, it's brown water bourbon. That ain't a clue. This is a terrific clue.
I feel like I've had this before.
This bourbon is twice oaked.
Yeah.
Another term for twice oaked is?
Double oak.
So what's the bourbon? What's the bourbon, people? Florida. Only came to Georgia recently. $90. You have one of these, Daniel.
Don't you?
You have familiar. One of these. It's a double oaked. It's considered one of the best double oaks on the market. Fred thought so. How many double oaks do you have?
Are you saying Pursuit?
No.
They're not distilled in Louisville. That's Peerless?
Finally gets it. Finally
Finally!
He gets it. Peerless Double Oaked. Woohoo! Man, I had
Finally!
like to feed that to you.
Ow. Yeah, sorry. Well, I picked up on the double oak part
You
of
did,
it.
because you actually talked about it, but I
Yeah.
couldn't give. Well, I can't
just-
tell them now.
I don't know the distilleries in Louisville. I can't say that word now. Well enough to know. And I was thinking Pursuit, but they're not distilled there. But Peerless never even crossed my mind. And what's really bad is when we went to Kentucky, I bought a bottle there. That's where my bottle comes from.
All right, so the next challenge down, you've got to come up one from your bar, and it needs to be a bourbon because this is the wonderful world of bourbon.
I got
But it can be any exotic bourbon you have, and you've
Okay.
got to give me 8 clues, and I have to try to guess it before the end of the 8th clue.
Okay.
Sound good to you?
You'll probably do
Well,
better
thanks
than
for
I
playing.
did. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't too great at it.
We'll see you next time on Name That Bourbon. Well, now it's time for Bourbon Recon. It's a little bit shorter tonight because we have such a jam-packed show, and I promised I would get to your comments. So we went around to a couple stores, and it's a few interesting things I thought I'd show you, but it's going to be kind of a short Bourbon Recon. We were up in Holly Springs at, where were we at? Uncle Jack's. That's right, Uncle Jack's in Holly Springs. And we saw this new bourbon here we've not seen before. 2 bootleggers, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It's 80 proof, so a little low for us. Not a whole lot of interest there for me. Anything below 90 is pretty much... But it is a limited batch, it says. It's Kentucky sourced. And $38.99. It's not a bad price for 80 proof bourbon, Kentucky sourced. And another one here, and I'm not sure if this is just a bourbon or a whiskey. It's James Oliver. Never heard of this one. It says bourbon barreled. Now, it doesn't say bourbon whiskey. It says bourbon barreled American whiskey. From Indio Spirits Distillery. Never heard of them. But it is a bootlegger special. Oh, yeah. And this one says Georgia, Rock Solid Distillery. Never heard of them. They call it Let Her Rip Whiskey. I'm not sure if it's a bourbon or a whiskey. Of course, all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. But it is a 90 proof and $39.99. Like I said, something new. And now we're still in Holly Springs. Where are we at? Oh, we're at T&T Package. They've opened a new store. If you've been to the old store, it wasn't a great store. The new store is fabulous. I mean, it's a whole lot of room. It's so clean, and they've got so much inventory in there. And they've got their famous allocation case that if you're from North Georgia, you either love or hate. That's all I'll say about it. You know, I don't try to comment on what pricing people use for their allocated bourbons. It is what it is. Market will bear. Sometimes it won't. But in their allocation case, they got really a lot of allocated stuff, including this Weller. We got the CYPB, the single barrel, and the full proof. And there again, you can see the prices and judge for yourself. And then what I thought was really interesting, I had no idea that the Daniel Weller, and this is the Emmer Wheat Recipe 1794, that regardless of whether it's market price, secondary, whatever you want to call it, I had no idea that particular Daniel Weller was so expensive. I mean, so much more expensive than the CYPB, which is, CYPB is really good Weller. And then, of course, Baumburgers. I'm a big fan of the Baumburgers. They've got the declaration or 2 declarations. One's the Fall Declaration 2024, and this one is the new PFG, the Precision Fine Grain. I got to taste it the other day, and we're doing a video on that, so I don't want to give away how much I liked it or how I compared it to the original Baumburgers. But they're out there, spotty, but they still are pricey. But if you're hunting one, they're starting to appear. And OH Ingram, can't say enough nice things about OH Ingram. On the left there we see the Flagship, which I have. I've got a review coming out very soon. I don't know if it's going to be tonight or next week. Still in the planning stage of that. But I like that they've got that for $79.99, which I think it really is a deal at that for what you're getting. It was the 2024 was Fred Minnick's number 9 on his list. Now this is the 2023 version, but it just goes to show you that that's got to be pretty good juice to make Fred Minnick's top 10. In fact, so they got the rye and the regular bourbon for $52.99. Now I'd be willing to try that. That 105 blue label at $53. Oh yeah, if it's anywhere near as like the Flagship, oh yeah, I think it would be an excellent buy. And why am I showing the Calumet 15 again? Because we did a comparison with the Sam Houston, and it might amaze you the results. That's coming out soon. That's still in the works. We've got to edit it. We filmed it. But I will tell you, I'm a fan of the 15. Yeah, $140 is nothing to sneeze at, but it is a 15-year bourbon. And I know some of the Calumet stuff is kind of hit and miss with people, but this 15 is really good. And it's probably one of the best priced 15-year-old bourbon whiskeys out there. A Kentucky bourbon whiskey, by the way, too. And the Castle and Key, we've got a segment tonight on it. Later, I don't want to give it away, of what we found out about the Castle and Key. In fact, I'm drinking it right now. If you don't believe me, here's the bottle. So we did a review of that. That's coming up soon, but more information on that later in the show. $69.99, 65 to 70 is where I see the pricing. So I would be happy paying $69.99 for it. It's a cask strength wheated bourbon. Yeah, good stuff. And then anytime I see the Rebel small batch reserve out there for $30, I'm going to let you know. This is there again, still at TNT. They got plenty of it. It's one of my favorite Rebel bourbons, and it's $30. It's excellent. Here's a new one. Appalachian Heritage Distillery from Damascus, Virginia, aged 5 years. No idea. It is 90 proof, and it is $57. Cream of Kentucky. I kind of failed at getting the price there, but I seem to remember the small batch was like high 70s, and there was no price on the cask strength. I've seen the cask strength for over 100 in the past. I'm just happy to see that it is good bourbon from what I know about it. I've not tasted it, but the more I see it, the more sooner it's probably going to get on my hunt list. That's for sure. At least the small batch. Small batches, I think, within my price point. And why do I have a Larceny barrel proof on here? Two reasons. $64.99 I think is a good price. I've seen it much higher. But what makes it so special is look at the one closer on the left. You'll see that is batch C922. One of the best batches Larceny ever came out with. C922 and C923, you could swap them back and forth. To me, is some of the best Larceny barrel proofs they've ever made. Just like a lot of things, just like Elijah Craig barrel proof. They're hit and miss depending on which batch, what time of year. C922 was a solid out of the park. They hit it out of the park. And the fact that I haven't seen the C922, in 2 years? Someone's got it at $64.99. That is my deal of the day. And Elijah Craig, I see Elijah Craig for $200 a lot of places, so don't get on me about the price. It is what it is. But the fact that you could just go there and buy it off the shelf, a year or two ago, no, you couldn't buy it off the shelf. Not for $199. And then Wild Turkey, that's a little higher than I normally see the price, but I'm glad to see the 70th anniversary. I think it's the best Wild Turkey out there right now. Well, I say Wild Turkey 101 kind of products. It even beat the Wild Turkey, that Kentucky Spirit that I like so much. It beat the Kentucky Spirit in a blind, $80. And then Short Barrel, now we've moved to Canton, to, where are we at? Canton Wine and Spirits. I'm happy to see the Short Barrel Cigar Batch 2 finding its way here. That's the price pretty much that you'll pay for it, whether here or if you go down to Short Barrel in Norcross, $119. Yeah, it is pricey cigar blend bourbon, but it's one of the best on the planet. It goes head-to-head with Joseph Magnus, in my opinion. So that pretty much wraps up our Bourbon Recon for this week. Well, now it's time for viewer comments. We pulled this out of Mike's Soapbox because Mike's Soapbox is always at the end, and it didn't want to wait till then to give our viewers a chance to hear their comments and my replies to that. So Mike's Soapbox is still at the end. Viewer comments is a little bit earlier. So let's get right into it. And I think my Bourbon of the Week is still towards the end of the show. So I won't tell you which one that is, but we're drinking it right now. Cheers. So, we're just going to go through a few of the shows we've done since the last time, and we've got a lot of comments, so we'll get right to it. The first one was where we did the Copper and Cask. It was a Whiskey Wednesday. Dave Vogelsang, one of our channel members and friend and supporter, says he loves every Copper and Cask bottle he has, which are the Double Oaked Cigar Blend 8-year bourbon and 9-year bourbon. Well, that's fantastic. I've got the 8-year and the Cigar Blend. I'm still looking for the Double Oaked, and I haven't seen the 9-year. But so far, and especially the price point, I'm a Copper and Cask fan. Brian Ritchie says, I'm tired of buying MGP, aren't we all? I don't dislike MGP. I just don't get buying MGP aged by someone else over and over again. And I think that's a big problem. MGP has gotten out there so much to some of these new distilleries that are waiting on their own juice to age that it's like, is this MGP? It tastes like MGP, and it's almost too much saturation. Appalachian Gold Whiskey. Interesting. Appalachian Gold Whiskey. You may be around my parts. He said, I've been wanting to try some Copper and Cask. Well, if you're in Georgia, I'm seeing Copper and Cask all over the place. Beard Zone says, another great video of my favorite channel. Keep those great reviews and videos coming. Well, thank you, Beard Zone. We always appreciate your nice comments. And DBT Dads, like Debit Dad. I'm always on the lookout for MGP aged about 8 years and older and over 105 proof. The Copper and Cask aged in Florida's is the Chef's Kiss. So now to our bourbon hunt at Rome Liquors in Rome, Georgia, not Italy. Keith Smith says, Rome Liquors has a great selection. Picked up that High West Double Rye, parentheses, cognac finish, store pick, and it's quite tasty. Cheers. I forgot that it was a cognac finish. That was, I'm really liking ryes that have a finish to them, and that's one of the best finishes I've seen on a rye. That is really good. So, yeah, if you're in Rome, Georgia, you should go by there and get Harry to give you a sample of that High West Double Rye. Thomas Anderson says, I picked up a Woodford Batch 121.2 for $114 last week. That's a fairly good price. Can't beat those Yellowstone single barrel store picks along with the Jefferson single barrel store picks. Pretty good selection. And Buttery Biscuits. What a name for a YouTube channel name. Buttery Biscuits says, I wish people would show more of the bottom shelf bourbons and whiskeys. I hope they put a battery in that smoke detector, too. On our review of J.T. Mellick Rice Whiskey, that was reviewed by Daniel and Jamie. Even though it's not a bourbon, we want to mention the comments here because this is where you're going to come to hear those comments. Dave V says, nice review, love that bottle, tastes like a good bourbon. And Dave should know because he sent me a sample a while back, and it's a reason I'm a fan of the J.T. Mellick. Beard Zone says, sounds like a good deal. Maybe I can find one in Tennessee. Oh, now I know where Beard Zone is. And Michael Bortner says, it is good whiskey. Well, that's all the comments we have this week, but don't go anywhere because our bourbon of the week is next. Well, now for our bourbon of the week. Cheers. That's good. And it's a new bourbon, a new brand for me. And what is that? That would be this Castle and Key. This is their cast strength wheated Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. I've shown this in several of the Bourbon Recons, and I finally pulled the trigger. It is a small batch. It's not a single barrel. But it's batch 1, in fact. It's 7 years old, and it was blended in 2024. I was very interested because I'd heard good things about this particular cast-strength wheated bourbon, and you know what? They were right. It is delicious. And I've been drinking it on and off all week, and that's a lot of times why a bourbon will become bourbon of the week, because I'm liking it at the moment. I like the price, I like the flavor, I think it's a good buy, and why it becomes bourbon of the week. But I have two. Really didn't plan on to, but I have two. Friends over at Short Barrel had let me and Daniel know that they were coming out with a Founder's Reserve. And you're going like, what's that? Never heard of it. And you might not have, unless you're a regular customer of Short Barrel or you've been paying attention to Short Barrel's Facebook and Instagram feeds. Well, if you saw this hazmat container around on the internet, and these are the stickers that come inside, I put it on the outside. This is what contains the Founder's Reserve. You're going like, why is the whiskey or bourbon in an ammo case? Because it's hazmat. It's all part of the genius of Short Barrel marketing a new bourbon, a hazmat-proof bourbon, that's all theirs, 100% Atlanta. And it looks like this. And somewhere I've got a picture of this, I'll put it on the screen with it. Yeah, it's a small bottle, it's 200 ml, and it's absolutely wonderful. It is 73% alcohol or 146 proof, and I promise you, it doesn't drink like 146 proof, not even close. Me and Daniel were so enamored by this new bourbon whiskey, this new hazmat strength whiskey from Short Barrel. We've already done a review of it. By the time you see this, you can go back and look on our channel. We did a whole first pour, and you can know a lot more about it. It is allocated, it's a limited release, but why do I say it's bourbon of the week? Because it is freaking amazing. And I'm hoping that Short Barrel, this is their first venue into this 100% Atlanta cast strength hazmat proof bourbon, that there'll be more of it in future, and hopefully in larger bottles, at least 375, right? If not 750. My bourbon of the week is Castle and Key cast strength wheated bourbon. It is absolutely delicious, and around $65, I think it's a very good deal. And the surprise of the week, the short barrel Founders Reserve. If you can find it, buy it. So, that's our Bourbon of the Week. Well, welcome to Mike's Soapbox, where I give you a piece of my mind and drink some bourbon. I was kidding about a piece of my mind. I wasn't kidding about this bourbon. This is fabulous. This is our Bourbon of the Week, by the way. If you skip forward, go back and watch the Bourbon of the Week and why I think it's Bourbon of the Week. Show me the money is the topic. And I've been thinking about this for a while. This is going to be a short session, short segment. A lot of people think I do this for the money. Now, I am monetized with YouTube. I do make a little bit of money on it. Probably not enough to stock 1/10 of the shelf behind me, but like a lot of YouTube creators that has over 1,000 subscribers, I'm monetized, and YouTube does pay me a smidgen, a small amount. And I wish it was more, but I'm not complaining. And why is that? Because I'm not in it for the money. I'm not trying to make a career in the YouTube. I'm not trying for it to be my next job. I'm not going full-time in the YouTube. I do YouTube because I enjoy making videos. When I was very young, when I had almost jet black hair, I was a professional photographer and videographer. I covered events. I told a story. And since digital video has come around, I've re-fallen in love with making videos, making films. I think of myself as a filmmaker. Why? Because I like telling a story. And that's why I do this. I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for the glory. I don't do it just to be the biggest YouTube channel. I do it because I enjoy telling a story. And I hope you enjoy hearing my stories. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I make these videos, and I hope you come back for lots more of them. So that's today's Soapbox. Well, we hope you enjoyed episode 4 of the wonderful world of bourbon. We're still fine-tuning this because the goal, the ultimate goal, is to make it into a weekly show. We'll get there one day, I promise you. And we hope you really enjoyed Name That Bourbon. That was a lot of fun to make, and I promise you that one is coming back again, and I might be on the hot seat next time. So as always, please drink responsibly, never drink and drive, and we'll see you next time on the wonderful world of bourbon.